Good evening, Qatar. Salaam alaikum. Welcome to the 20th edition of the weekly virtual Big B Meetup. Big B Meetup is a community initiative founded in 2018 in Qatar. It is dedicated to my mother, the late Aureliana Josephine, and inspired by the people of Qatar, both local and expatriate. It aims to educate, to inform, to inspire, and bring communities together. This episode, we are gearing up for we are gearing up for going back to school, and thus we have the wonderful mummy of three, Mrs. Taifa Naeem. I love that name, and the founding principal of the Hamilton International School, Terry Senior. Welcome, Taifa and Terry.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Same here. So, Taifa, I'd like to start with you as always, ladies first. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure. My name is Taifa Naeem. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been in Doha with my husband and three children for 6 years. I have a 9-year-old, a 13, and a 15-year-old. All three of my boys go to ACS, International School of Doha. My husband is a medical doctor at Hamid, and he's currently working in a COVID hospital, Hazem Mabrik, and I am an entrepreneur.
Wow, that's a lovely introduction. Principal Terry, if I may say so, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name's Terry Senior. I'm the founding principal of the Hamilton International School. I've been here in Doha, Qatar for the last 2 years, just coming up 2 years. I have a beautiful wife and three amazing children, 14, 11, and 8. And so we're really excited to be here tonight. Looking forward to having a discussion about the back to school plans that we have here at Hamilton, and being able to connect with Taifa and finding out a little bit more about what it's going to look like for both of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry. That was a lovely introduction too. Both of you have three children. That's lovely. That's pretty amazing. Well, Taifa,
Yes.
could you please explain how did you get such a beautiful name? The very day I heard your name from Elizabeth from the American Women's Association, I said, that's a beautiful name. Could you please explain and give our viewers an elaborate explanation on Taifa?
Sure. My name, pronounced in Swahili, is Taifa. In Arabic is Ta'ifa. It means a birth of a nation. It also means a gift from God. So, and it's used in the Quran to describe groups of people. So it depends on how you're using it. But the core is a birth of a nation. My father named me. He wanted me to have a name that was different. He didn't want it to be common. He didn't want me to be common. And he wanted me to live up to that name. And he thought that was something that that I could live up to.
Wow, lovely. Talking of Elizabeth, and here she is, greeting all of us. Hello,
Hi,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Thank you for joining us. So we got a lot of guests today, a lot of people joining in. And wow, talk about family support. Is this a relative of yours, Terry?
Yes, I spend a lot of time with her. She's my wife.
Lovely, lovely. That's fantastic. Excellent. Great. So, Taifa, coming back to you,
Yes.
please elaborate what it is in a day of the life of Taifa, a mother of three, wife to a doctor, a frontline doctor. Give us a lovely explanation and take your time and tell us how it is. What do you do? And what have you been doing?
Well, I take my children to school. I am the taxi driver. I am the chef. I am the disciplinary. I am the teacher. I am everything that a mother uh, can be. I take the kids to school on a normal day before COVID. drop the kids off to school. I would go to the gym and exercise. And then I would, depending on which day, volunteer. I volunteer. I'm a member of the American Women's Association, currently the community liaison director. I'm also on the board of the parent student organization at ACS.
Wow, you're a little more than a principal, I would say. Then you got so many titles there. What do you say, Terry?
I think I think all mothers should be celebrated. It's not an easy job, that's for sure.
Yeah, true. So how have you been coping with COVID, Taifa?
Initially, I was a little afraid because I knew that we would be impacted directly because my husband is a medical doctor at Hammett Hospital. And I didn't know in what aspect or what regard of how we will be impacted, but I knew we will be impacted every day. When they told us that he would have to go to the COVID hospital, I was scared, to be quite honest. I was extremely scared. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to do or how to handle him if he had to be away from us, what the protocols would be. But my husband is really a calm person. So he was like, listen, we have the supplies and the materials. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know what the plan is. And then we sat down and discussed what the protocols were for him to come into the home, because he didn't have to like quarantine himself at another place. He came home every day, but the clothes that he left out in, he did not come back in. He left his shoes outside of the door, and he would go into our guest room on the first floor before he would come and interact with our family each day. As for my children, I tried to keep them as structured as possible during school. We had a routine prior to school. My children are very structured, so I kept that routine, which helped them. I made them go to bed at a certain time. I made them get washed. I made them get dressed. The same routine that we had when we were going out, I tried to keep it as normal as possible for them.
Wow. Talking of structure and discipline, did you manage to get them? Did you manage to talk to them about coming on the show for a second? Did you coax any of them?
I did not. I did not. I don't think they will be ready or willing to come on camera. I'll see if they'll come on later on, but as of now.
Sure. Yeah. No worries. I'm gonna switch to Terry and
Okay.
put him on the spot now. All my life I've been waiting to put a principal on the spot, because all these years in school, my principal has put me on the spot a couple of times. They've taken my side also, but I've taken a liking to Terry Senior, and we had a quick chat before this event, and I must say I'm very impressed with Principal Terry. And here are a few questions for you, Terry. Could you introduce the school to us and give us more information about would you be the newest school on the block?
I would say we're certainly one of the newest ones. We have been open for a year, let's say a year, but the reality is 2 terms, and then we went into distance learning. Hamilton is situated here in Mazimere. We have an amazing campus and exceptional teachers, and we're really excited about what this year has to offer for us.
Wow, that's fantastic. So can you elaborate on the magnificent facilities you have at the premises? I haven't seen the school yet, but I have seen it from the outside over the years because it's pretty close to the religious complex. And I've been seeing the school being constructed and grow. But only through social media have I seen a few videos of the school, and I believe it's magnificent. Can you run us down with the facilities you have, the strength of your staff, and a little more about the school? Yeah.
Sure. I think that now is a fantastic opportunity to invite you, Bosco, to come and have a visit our school, because, I mean, it's all very well talking about the facilities, but you've really got to come for a walk around the school and see what there is. But we have an amazing lobby which greets you when you first come in. You can go upstairs to our main theatre. Now, our main theatre is something special because we can seat 850 people in that theatre. And I would humbly suggest it's probably one of the best in Doha. So we're really fortunate to have that as a facility. We also have a smaller, what we affectionately call the black box theatre, where our whole students can run that. They can operate the sound and the lighting. We have assemblies in there and professional development. So it's a really good space. We also have our recreation centre. In our recreation centre, we have a variable use space, which is divided by curtains. So our students, when they're doing activities over there, they can be separated out easily. We have 2 swimming pools. One is a training swimming pool for our students, which is operated by H2O. And we also have a large swimming pool, which has, I think, 10 lanes in it. So we can have competitions there. At one end, it's particularly deep, so we can also do scuba diving and water polo and canoeing and those sorts of things. So it's a fantastic facility. Yes, sir.
Are you talking about the school or an Olympic stadium?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say that, sir. But yeah, it's a great facility, and I mean, there's more things that I can list that are actually in the recreation centre. We have 2 large tennis courts, so when it's hot, and it can be hot here in Qatar, it's great to get the students indoors. We also have a full-size commercial gym, so our parents can come and do a workout. All the students can do their after-school activities, such as dance and gymnastics and tennis and swimming and all of those sorts of things. We've got Starbucks actually operating out of there as well, so they can have a cup of coffee. It's a great facility, and it's what I think it's the hub of the community, so it was pretty exciting to be able to share that with our community.
No wonder you're still sitting in the office there. I would not leave that place for a minute. That's amazing. Well, I already have somebody here, Savio Naik, saying that it's an amazing school. He's visited it twice and has super facilities. Wow, you already got followers there, people who have visited. Terry, I'll be definitely visiting the school because past COVID, past phase 4, I'll go back to having physical Big B meetups. And for the Big B meetup actually has 4 pillars. So I have 4 themes that I have regularly over a period of a year. So one is sports and wellness. The other is sustainability, istidama in Arabic. The third is arts. I have artists of Qatar. I celebrate art. And the fourth is I have also people with special needs who I have themed this ability, not this. So I played phonetically on the word this and call it THISABILITY. So my next event in October is on sustainability, and I've been talking to a few schools and a few places who'd like to sponsor and participate in it and be a venue partner. Having heard all these things from you, Terry, I'm definitely coming to see you, if not next week, the week after, because we need to have a sit down. If you're saying you have 800 capacity, that's a little lot. I think we'll start seeing some movies there.
You'd be most welcome to come along and see our facilities for sure. We also have our what we call the hub, which is our SEN for our students and give them support as well. So we believe that's important to be an inclusive school, and so we have a very good facility to be able to provide top-notch support for SEN students as well.
Pardon me, I didn't get the word. What's the word you said again?
Top-notch.
No, the word before that, ASEAN?
Is specially educate students with special needs.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I didn't know that word, so I'd rather ask, because I learned in school, if you don't ask, you don't learn. And since I have a principal here and a teacher and a mother, sorry, I wanted to ask, yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy to know that your school is inclusive, and that's something wonderful to know of. Yeah. Could you, one question I had for you is, what was the first thing you did when the pandemic struck from a school perspective, from your own personal perspective? Now that I know that you have 3 children yourself, so could you give us 2 perspectives as a father and as a principal of a school?
Sure. As a principal, on the 9th of March, we closed. We were open for business, and it was school as normal. And then that evening, we got the text to say that the school was going to be shut the next day. Fortunately, at Hamilton, we had all of our infrastructure in place and our communication with our parents, so we were able to immediately turn around and start the distance learning with our school community. So we didn't have any time to prepare as such, but because we had things in place, it was an easy transition for us. And we've got really good staff who made that happen. As a father, conducting a school, organizing a school out of your bedroom is an interesting thing. In my bedroom, I have behind me, or not here, but in my bedroom when I was doing it, I had a ladder which the ladies hang their bits and pieces on. And everyone would say to me, where does that ladder go to? And the reality is it's not. It's one of those things that your wife has to put all their bits and pieces on. And it was just in the background, because everyone looks at the background to see what's there when you're doing distance learning, as you can imagine. So here I am at school because we want to make sure the internet is working and stays doing as it should, because often you do have, when you're in the middle of the meeting, you have your little people that come in the middle of those meetings wanting to talk with you, and having to say, well, actually, Daddy's meant to be doing his work here, and we can't have you interrupting at the moment. So like all of you, there's lots of challenges. I mean, I have to shout out to my wife, who's done a phenomenal job doing the distance learning with her, with our children. And you get no feedback from your wife in terms of the success of your distance learning is immediate. So you have to tailor your program to ensure you're meeting everybody's needs and making sure you're meeting all the students at their point of need, is what we say.
Very true. I have a lovely question from one of my most popular viewers, Ahmed Al Hajri. By the way, he's a phenomenal artist, and I think he's just finished his semester at uni. He has a lovely question for us. I don't know if we can answer that though. His question is: I am curious to know of why governmental schools or the schools, sorry, why governmental schools or the school system does not celebrate the diversity of art and create solid programs that will give birth to many artists. He's always talking about art. So would you like to, would either of you all like to tackle that question in a more subtle?
I can say is, for ACS, they do have a phenomenal program. They just moved into a brand new building. We have theater art classrooms. So I can't particularly speak on governmental schools as a parent because my children don't go there, but the school that my children attend, they have a wonderful art and theater program.
Lovely. Terry, you would like to mention something?
I believe that creativity is the source of life. I think that's really important. So we're very fortunate here at Hamilton with 3 art rooms and with great facilities, and also the performing arts. If you can stand on stage in front of 850 people and be able to perform what's gone inside the classroom to help create the confidence for the children. So I think that performing arts is a very important part of our school, as well as sporting and the other things, which I'll share a little bit later on. But I think in terms of the whole package, Hamilton is able to offer that to all of our students coming into our school, which is exciting.
Yeah. Geraldine would like to know more about the back-to-school approach for this new term. I would not just put it to Terry, I'd also put it to Taifa. This question is for both of you. Let's start with Terry. What is the back-to-school approach for the new term, Principal?
Well, thank you. We're in a very fortunate position at Hamilton because we have significant capacity because we're a brand new school. The ministry put out very clearly that you're only able to have 30% of your students, the capacity of your school at any one time. Hamilton's able to have all of our students in 5 days a week because we have the capacity to be able to bring all our students into school. Our capacity is 2,301 students, so 30% of that is 690. So we have capacity to have all of our students 5 days a week into our school, which is really exciting. A lot of our parents are working. We have put out a survey to see what they wanted to do, and well over 65% of our parents want to have their students back in school 5 days a week, business as usual. obviously notwithstanding all the protocols that we've put in place to ensure the safety of our students. One of those protocols at the moment is, when you walk into a mall, you have the thermal cameras. We're just getting thermal cameras installed at Hamilton so that when the students come in, if anyone's not wearing a mask, it'll highlight red. If the temperature is over 37.8, then it alerts us that that person's temperature is high. It's really important to have a safe environment, but also one where we, as I've said to the parents today, that we don't lose our humanity. I think it's still important that we have masks coming in and out of school. We follow the protocols that are there, but it's important that students are still able to be children, and we're still able to communicate and be able to see the smiles on people's faces, with making sure that we still have our social distancing as well. Let's not let this thing called COVID rob our humanity.
Very, very well said. Very well said. Taifa, you want to add something there to?
Sure. I'm looking forward to my children going to school full time. I'm ready to drop them off and run.
I was just going to say that you're ready to be a taxi driver and run.
I'm ready to be a taxi driver. I want to give up the ranks of teacher. I would like to give that to the professionals. I think they do a much better job than I.
Why do you say that?
I said.
Why do you say that? Why do you run yourself down there? What do you mean better job than yourself? I think you have confidence.
Your children connect to other people differently than the parent. It's just a different dynamic. The teachers, someone that's outside of the family can pull things out of them that even the mom can't pull out, because that's what they specialize in. That's what their skills are. If they have a great skill set as a teacher, and that's something that they love to do, then they're the ones that should be doing it. I'm doing it because, it's something that I have to do. I was in a classroom before, so I have some skills, but they're still my children. They're my babies in a sense. So it's a different dynamic and setup that I will get than the teachers will get. And I think that they need that interaction. They need to learn skills from other people besides myself and my husband. And what better way to get that is from the phenomenal teachers that we have in our schools. So for me personally, I think for their development, my youngest son is diagnosed with select mutism, which is a form of anxiety. And being online for him was difficult. Being in the classroom was difficult because he wouldn't speak. But I think that when he was online in a Zoom setting, I guess the camera being directly on him and everyone is staring at him, he had a very difficult time with that. He didn't want to use his words to express what he knew, and he didn't want anyone looking directly at him. So that was a challenge that we have to overcome. Overcoming it in school is one aspect, but online is a different aspect. And he was improving much better in the classroom setting versus the online setting. So I look forward to in class, of course, with all of the safety rules and protocols. ACS is in a brand new building like Hamilton. I'm sure their facilities is probably equally as great and very, very similar, where the school can handle the amount of students and properly social distance and have the amount of classes to fulfill the government requirements. So I don't have any concerns. I think emotionally and socially, the children need to be in school. Now, I'm not saying that for parents that don't feel that way and prefer online, like something is wrong with them. I can just say as a parent, I see the importance of the social and the emotional and the interaction with the students and the teacher is very important for the development of the child.
Taifa, have you considered applying for a principal post in any school?
I have my MBA in healthcare administration.
You were phenomenal. I just love the way you explain all this. It's fantastic. Really amazing. And bravo to your son. Yeah. So he'd prefer going back to school as opposed to going on Zoom and being zoomed into.
Yes.
Fantastic. Uh, on the same topic, what about homeschooling? It's been in vogue for quite a few years now, and I've seen quite a lot of students enter into that realm, especially now during COVID. What is your take, Terry, on homeschooling? And what is your take on homeschooling too, Taifa? If you could go with Terry first.
Okay.
I think homeschooling for some families have its merits for sure. But what we seem to find is that parents who bring their children from a homeschooling setting to school often find that they have real strengths, and because those are the strengths often of the parent, and maybe weaknesses in other areas where the parents aren't so strong in that. And I think that when they do come into school, that they have the gamut of education that the students actually need. But yes, I do believe that for some families, it really works for them. And I've seen some families have tremendous success. And they make sure that they compensate in terms of social development for their children, and being able to meet up with other people in different areas. But I think that at school you develop a different, maybe a deeper relationship with other people. But as I said, for some families it works, for others it doesn't. So it depends on the needs of the children and for the family makeup and dynamic. So it works for them.
Well said. Yeah. What about you, Taifa? What do you think about homeschooling? I know you already said something about it, but let me know.
Well, when we first moved here, schools was a lot more competitive to get in, and my children were at different schools. So I initially wanted all of my children at one school. So I said, well, I'll try to homeschool until my son can get into the school that I want him in. And I lasted 1 month. I am not a homeschool mom. I would love to pay the teachers to teach my children. They are better at it than I. I am better at teaching someone else's child, just not mine. So I think for my children specifically, and I think it's really child by child case. Each child could be very different. My children are very structured. My children like schedules. My children like to know what to expect. They like the interaction with their classmates and with the teachers. So for my children specifically, it's best for them to be in school. However, they can function and do well because they did very well online. But what's better for them is class, face-to-face education.
Okay. Thank you so much for your beautiful answer. I'm going back to Ahmed Al Hajri. He's at it again. He's got lots of questions for us, but this is a very nice question. I would love to elaborate. I would love you all to elaborate on. Ahmed wants to know why schools have not yet introduced courses that will inform kids and teenagers and even parents about disability and disorders. There are people like myself, anxiety and speech disorder, who have disorders or disabilities that have been bullied and undermined throughout their lives in school, which make the experience very bad. And that stems from the fact that there is lack of awareness and knowledge regarding that topic. Let me elaborate a little more. Ahmed Al Hajri came to my notice at my event at Sheikh Faisal's museum. He's a digital artist extraordinaire, a maestro in my perspective. And during my event, we had a round table with other artists of Qatar. And when we opened the floor for questions, he was the first to ask a question. Now he stammers, but he was out there asking questions. Bravo to you, Ahmed, and I will always hats off to you for that, buddy. So, what do you say about that, Terry, Taifa? It's a very nice question. I love this question.
I'll let Taifa go first.
Well, as a parent with a child that has been diagnosed with select mutism, which is a rare diagnosis, and it's also a rare diagnosis for boys. More girls have that disorder more than boys. It was very, very difficult because the resources are not here like they should. And if they are, they're for the locals. It's not enough resources for the community at large. I had to go back to the US to get him assessed and evaluated to get a proper diagnosis because no one had the experience and were diagnosing my son improperly, which meant they weren't accommodating him properly, had the resources for him. And in addition to it being a rare disorder, is not as common, you don't have a lot of people that have the experience. So I had to become an expert on select mutanism myself because I knew I had to advocate for my child and to ensure that he get the right education, he get the right resources that was needed for him to mature, to develop, and to be able to cope with his disorder.
Thank you very much. Terry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And I think that what is important to understand is that every child, every student has gifts and talents. We believe at Hamilton, we talk about igniting passion, purpose, and potential. And we believe that every single student has potential to achieve. And I believe that if we find their passion, things they're particularly good at, that we can celebrate that. But I think the heart of the student is where you've got teachers who really care about them as individuals, who want to see them succeed. Students who we're talking about with certain areas of specific special need require specialist support to be able to help them. But every child, every person wants to be accepted. Every person, we want to see them achieve. And I think it's about meeting them at their point of need and being able to help them and provide the necessary support systems and structures to be able to support them along their educational journey.
Very well said. There's another person concurring with you all. Her name is Claire Rose, and funny enough, she is from the city of Hamilton in Ontario, Canada. So she is, more importantly, a teacher of special needs there. She's been teaching them for nearly 20 years, and she's viewing. She's coming and viewing our program all the way from Hamilton. Thank you, Claire Rose, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Aisha Musame Salame has a question for us. We've been inundated with questions. I would say it's a fantastic thing. I haven't really. This is like, I pity Terry right now very little because he's just finished an open house at the Hamilton School, and here we have an impromptu open house on Big B Meetup. So that's another question for you, Terry. But I will also put it on to Taifa, the principal at large for ACS. Yeah. So what are your plans to overcome the gap in kids' education during the last few months? I think that question has been a regular series for a long time, but please go at it. Taifa?
Sure. So for me as a mom, but I've always done this. I was raised the same way. The summertime, my children did schoolwork anyway. So we never not did work. It just was less work, but my children I make sure that they do math, reading, writing, and Arabic, and for a total of an hour each day during the summertime. So, and this is something that we do every year, not because of COVID, is just what I think that children should do. They should always continue to learn and to refresh during the summertime. So that's what I do as a mom. Everyone has their own opinions.
Terry?
Okay, so for distance learning for Hamilton, as I said, we had to turn very quickly around to respond to the needs of our community. We had the platforms in place. We have exceptional teachers who ensured that we needed, when our parents gave us feedback about what we needed to change, and one of the most challenging things was to get the mix right. Have we got sufficient work for the students to do? Have we got too much? Some parents said that we can only support our children at home after 5 o'clock when we get home from work. Other parents said we're only able to help our children on the weekend. So we had to have a mix of whereby we recorded the lessons. We always had online face-to-face lessons with the students, and also being able to provide them with the work that was enough and enough variety for them so that they were really engaged, and making it really interesting for them. With us, I guess it's probably worthwhile touching on assessments, because that's an interesting thing when you're doing distance learning, is to ensure that the assessment and the ongoing progress is monitored for the students. So we had the students the students got very good at it, to be honest, uploading their work onto their portfolios so that the teachers could mark the work that they were doing, provide instant feedback to them, because it's really important that if you're at home by yourself working away, that getting that feedback is really, really important anyway at school, but also when you're at home. And I think being able to celebrate those successes that are going on at home, and also to the parents, particularly because the effort that the parents are putting in around the children, being able to see your child come back and go, yes, I've done this particularly well. The parents also get a sense of achievement because they've worked very hard to help them. And I also think from a parent's perspective, they understand very clearly two things. One, what a challenging job it is to be a teacher. And two, the progress that their children, or the gaps thereof, that their own children have, and what they've tried to personally do to be able to help them with those gaps. And when they've linked with our Hamilton teachers and being able to provide that close support, saying, look, my child's really finding this hard, what can we do to help? And so the support structures within Hamilton have been able to help the teachers to provide that support for their children, which has been really great. And the children have made progress. When they all come back at the beginning of this year, we're going to be doing baseline assessments, and we'll be able to clearly show the progress that they made through their distance learning. But we're talking 5 or 6 months. So I'm guessing that the behaviours and the change that will happen in the students when they come back. So it's very important when they come back into Hamilton that we have high expectations. The way that we move around the school is important, and we remember what it's like to be at school, because it's important that those things are in place, because it can, I'm guessing that potentially some of the children might be a bit hairy in terms of their behaviour. So we need to make sure those things are straightened up and tidied up, and we have them looking the way that they should do in terms of being students focused on their learning and having fun at school appropriately.
Yeah, Taifa, if you can quickly answer this question for Ahmed Al-Hajri, he can really go at it with questions. But I have 2 or 3 more questions for you from other moms. In fact, I'd actually like to go to Varda before that. Varda is another, like you all both, mom of 3. She's an amazing woman. She's a co-founder of Wahab Food Heroes. It's a lovely program that I'd like to introduce the American Women's Association and Hamilton School. They are I would say what we do, because I'm a volunteer with the group as well. What we do is we save waste food, as in not surplus food, sorry, not waste, surplus food. Varda can correct me if I'm wrong. And we distribute meals to less privileged people in Qatar. Yeah, they've been doing it for nearly 4 years now, and I've been part of the group for over 3 years. So Varda has a question. Would like to know more on how schools are incorporating sustainability initiatives in their education. Fantastic. Yeah, that's part of something I want to go to Hamilton and talk about, because I'd love to do a sustainable event, a Big B meetup with Hamilton School in November, if all things go well. I'm sure they will.
Very good.
Yeah, would you all like to tackle this question? I would like to know more about how schools are incorporating sustainability. Does the Hamilton School have any sustainability initiatives planned or in progress?
Yes, we do. We want to be a waste neutral school. I think that's really important. We have 2 cafeterias, and currently right now because our students last year when they were in school, they would go to the cafeteria and have their lunch. Currently right now the cafeterias are providing food to Hamad Hospital. And so therefore what will happen this time is when our students come into school, that they will make their lunches for them, for those that would like to purchase it a week ahead, and then that will be delivered in paper bags and recyclable materials to ensure that I think recycling is really important. We've got enough plastic in this world, let's change it. And I think it's really important to ensure that our students have an understanding of what it means to recycle, to ensure that what a waste neutral school means. And again, that's all a really important part of the education process for our children.
Bravo, Terry, bravo. Taifa, the question coming back to you with Ahmed Al-Hajri. He's curious to know how you can normalize the idea of being differently abled in the school. Did your kids go to?
I personally think that it needs to be more conversation and education about disability, about mental health. We have to deal with cultural taboos and actually address it for it to be normal, for it to become normalized. We have to remove mental health disabilities as a taboo, and have way more conversation. We need staff, teachers, counselors that are actually educated and trained on disabilities and mental health. Is a big part of education. I don't think that you can have one without the other at this point in time. At the way education is moving and the way that social, emotional, and mental health is all a part of education and making a whole child. So I think that the schools have to incorporate that mindset and have trainings for their teachers and have programs for the students as well. I think that sometimes we try to isolate the kids or push them away. It's easy for schools here, the private schools, to say, oh, well, we can't handle those types of children. We don't accept those types of children. So you have that as well. The schools aren't equipped to deal with children that have disabilities. And I'm not talking about extreme disabilities, because of course you have to have a limitation on what type of disability that a school can handle. But we had a difficult time with that. But I will say that because I made sure that I educated myself on what needed to be done, and I was completely hands-on with my child's education and how the school was going to help him, and I wouldn't back down, that the school then started to incorporate and even ask me, can you talk to this parent? We have a student that, so I think that the staff, the teachers, the principals, everyone has to be on the same page and has to be on board in accepting mental health, accepting of disabilities and children learning differently. And if we have those conversations, we have those programs, it can become normalized.
Very well said. And not to mention the psychological effect it has on children too, but it makes them brave hearts. I believe it makes them brave hearts, the kids, and with support from their parents. I have a few more questions myself, and then we can wrap it up. School's out for the day. Terry, how did the open house go today? I believe it was a full house, and it was from your colleague Christine. It was fantastic. I actually tuned in for a few minutes actually. Were you seated in the 800 seat auditorium? Was it in the 800 seat auditorium?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. We wanted to provide a question and answer time for our parents. As a dad, it's an unsettling time, wanting to know what that looks like for your children coming to school, how that's going to work, and I think it's all about communication and being able to clearly outline what it looks like for the students coming into school. I say to my staff that I'm not responsible for bringing COVID in, and I'm not responsible for stopping it. But I am responsible for ensuring that all of our facilities and the protocols are in place, from social distancing to hand washing, sanitizer, and our thermal imaging as you come into the school, and also being able to train the children on what it looks like for coming into school. Some of our parents would want to do a blended learning approach, which is some days in at school and the remainder for distance learning, and others. And some parents have children who have health issues and they want to keep them at home. So we also support them with their distance learning at home. So we have all three modes of learning well catered for at Hamilton. And for those, as I mentioned before, who want to come in 5 days a week are able to do that. And I think that's really important for continuity for the children.
Very well said, Terry. Yeah. One more question. Actually, that you already nearly answered the question, but I'll put it up again. What is your rendition, or what is your understanding of blended learning, Taifa and Terry? What is your understanding of this? Because it's a new term for me. I would only say blended like Beckham, as in bend it like Beckham. But tell me, what do you say, Taifa? How would you bend it? And Terry, how would you do that blending?
Am I going first?
Absolutely.
That's the norm. That's the norm.
Okay, it's the new term. Is a new term for me as well. Is a combination. My understanding is a combination of face-to-face learning, online learning, and learning outside of the classroom. I think it's a brilliant idea because you have children that learn differently and have different abilities and how they will take in the information. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our children. It's a wonderful way to get our children to learn in different arenas. I think it's an opportunity for our children to be able to have an opportunity to have their learning style enhanced and addressed, because sometimes people don't realize that each child has a different learning style. Some need to see it visually, some need to touch it, some need to feel it, some need to smell it. And if we are able to address all of the different learning styles and even bring out those learning styles for other children, you will have the children will be able to get a better education and to be able to process it better so that they then can be more productive individuals.
Well said. Well said. We have a few more minutes. I would like to get a message from either of you all, a message of love and peace for everyone. But before that, Taifa, I think we need to salute the new, beautiful, curvaceous logo of the American Women's Association Qatar. That's what I do.
I agree. Well, everyone, I am the Community Liaison Director for the American Women's Association. We are an organization of women from every nationality. No, you do not have to be an American. You just have to be a woman to join. We do activities, social activities. We do volunteering activities. For instance, we were volunteering at Hamad Hospital for the Patient Center Ambassadors Program. We have other opportunities to volunteer. We do social events, makeup, fashion. We have eating events. So we do all types of events to develop friendship, to develop fellowship for women of all nationalities.
You all had a photo contest recently, right?
Yes.
I wonder, how did that go? Did the judge do a good job?
I didn't win.
Did you? Oh, thank you very much. That's a nice way to snub me, Taifa, at the end of the show. Well, let me in on it. I was the judge for the American Women's Association photo contest because I'm a professional photographer. And Taifa didn't win, but did you take part?
I did.
Okay, I didn't know you at that point. Otherwise, I would have let you win.
Next time.
Absolutely. So, Terry, do you have a message of peace and from yourself? Actually, you have two messages I'd like from the principal. One is from the school, from the Hamilton School. Well, and where do you see the school in another year? And what are your activities coming up in the next 4 to 6 months before Christmas? And your message to the viewers.
Firstly, I want to say thank you, Bosco, for inviting me on tonight. It's been a really good experience to be able to share a little bit about the Hamilton journey. It's a privilege to lead such an amazing school. I have to say, we have exceptional teachers who genuinely care about the children. And often you talk about, I mean, you have mentioned that we have amazing facilities, and we do, but it's the level of care that our teachers have for every single child individually to make sure that their needs are met, the educational needs are met, but also their emotional needs are met as well. And a school that genuinely cares about the students. We have a community here that loves Hamilton and is for Hamilton. To get a sense of what that is like, I extend an invitation to you all, and for those that are listening, to come and see Hamilton. Allow me to take you for a tour of the school and to share some of the passion that we have for education. It's an amazing place, and I have to say it's a privilege to be a part of it. And today we had over 100 families that came through our school. Places are filling fast. There's a lot of amazing energy, and we're looking forward to all that this year has to bring. Yes, we've got some challenges, but I like to talk to change those challenges into opportunities. So we've got lots of amazing opportunities that are coming up ahead of us as we move forward as a school. And for me personally, I'm just really excited to be a part of the journey. And it's amazing meeting families, despite every person's belief system or whatever. We all come to the same agreement that we love our children and we want to see them do well and succeed. And that's the common thread that runs through what we're doing here. And I think that's exciting to have this opportunity to be able to share our love for education, our love for children, and our love for families. Thank you.
Lovely message. Just one question. What is the syllabus that you all teach at Hamilton? What is the syllabus?
There's a great question. We have an international curriculum. We have an international early years curriculum, international primary curriculum, the international middle years curriculum, and then we've got two pathways, either the US diploma and then moving into the IB at grade 11 and 12. And it's great because the international curriculum meets both the US curriculum standards as well as the UK standards, and brings the very best out of the UK, the US, and New Zealand and Singapore curriculums. So it means that our students who come to a truly international school means that they have an education that will plug and play into any country that they return to. And we have many families that come in and be a part of our school, and then in time they want to go back to their own home country. So we have an international curriculum that meets the needs of our students, and they love it because it's thematically based and they're really motivated and they're so excited. We have entry points which sets it all up, and then exit points where the students are able to bring their parents in, and we can show the progress of learning that the students have had. And we talk about amazing learning, where the learning is where they are amazed at the progress that they've made, and the parents are amazed at how much progress that the students have made. And so every day we believe in getting better. What are you learning today that you've got better at, and can you articulate what you've got better at? And I think that's really exciting, and it's a great journey to be a part of.
You're spoiled for choice at the school. I wish I was back in school, because you're the founding principal of the school. What is it like to be a founding principal? I'll tell you how it was like being the founding student of a school in Doha back in the 80s. I was the first batch that graduated from the Ideal Indian School, from the 10th grade and the 12th grade. And I hope none of the founder members are here, but they treated us a bit like guinea pigs. I'm just kidding. No, already. But we were the first batch, so we had to take science. We couldn't take commerce because there was no commerce, and there was no art. So we all had to take the science stream. That was the only setback I felt. But apart from that, we were very proud to be the first batch of the Ideal Indian School of Qatar, and many of my classmates have turned out to be amazing doctors, engineers, all across the world. But we were a batch of only 11 students passing off from the 12th standard. Can you believe that? We were only 12 kids. Now there are, in a regular school, it's like maybe 50 or 40 or 30, right? But we were only 12 or 11 of us. So yeah, how was it? Well, just the last question to Terry. How was it being the founding principal of a school? And
sorry, I think being the founding principal is an incredibly privileged position, because I'm fortunate. I may not look as old as I am, but I've been doing this for 29 years, and to be able to well, there you go, to be able to see the vision for a school and to come to fruition, to see very clearly what it looks like at the end and being able to build with an incredible team to see the vision outworked. I believe in passion, I believe in purpose, I believe in potential, and that's very much part of the ethos for our school, and the igniting is done by the teachers. So yes, being a principal is a great thing. We spent 4 years in China. We went from New Zealand to China, had 4 years in China, and then we came to Doha. So
Wow.
I was a principal in New Zealand, a principal in Shanghai, and a principal here. This
Do you speak
opportunity,
Chinese? Do you speak a bit of Chinese? Do you speak a bit of Chinese?
just a little bit. My children are amazing. My wife is a lot better than I am. So
Wow.
get
Mandarin.
around in it, but not that good.
Mandarin.
Correct. Mandarin it is.
Perfect. Wow, we have a shout out for the ACS school here. We've been talking so much about Hamilton, but here we have a shout out for the ACS Doha. Give it up for the ACS school. Wow, Rawan, thank you so much, Rawan Mahfood. Absolutely. If Taifa would invite me to the school at Al Kisa, I'd definitely love to join and have a look at the school too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's about it for us. Do you all have a parting message, Taifa? Would you like to give us a parting message? Terry, are you done with? Would you like to say anything more about Hamilton School? Does it have a helipad also? Does it have a helipad also?
A honey?
A helipad.
A helipad. No, it doesn't. But there's an idea. You never know. There's all sorts of opportunities that can come our way. We do want to have some glass houses that we can put on our roof that we can grow our own plants and vegetables for as part of our sustainability.
Fantastic.
So that's look at. I know there's some that have been designed that will work in sort of 50-degree heat. So I think there's an opportunity. So if you've got green fingers, Bosco, come along to Hamilton and you can help us out.
Absolutely. Wow. There's a little bit of trivia. Ahmed Al Hajri, our most popular guest tonight, was an ACS student. MashaAllah. Wallah, that's fantastic. Great. So, Taifa, a message of love and peace for all of us. And did you manage to get any of your kids to say bye to us?
No, they will not. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. No worries.
I can show you a picture. But I would just like to tell the parents to be patient, to have understanding that the teachers are working and the principals are working around the clock to make sure that when we start school, that it is COVID safe, is accommodating for all of the children. There will be some mistakes. That is just the nature of things especially when you're dealing with something that's new. To be flexible, to expect change, because we are in a state of ever-changing rules and situation. So just remember to just make sure you need childcare, plan for childcare as if you need it every day, and plan for transportation as if you need it every day, especially for the moms that are single or the parents that are single parents. They are struggling the most and have it the most difficult because they have no help. But I would say just to be patient, to be flexible, and to try to be as positive and encouraging to your children as possible. And to have a wonderful school year.
Very well said. Taifa, I'm going a notch higher here. Taifa for president. Trust me. Yeah. Terry, a quick goodbye message from you for all of us.
We're open 5 days a week. We can't wait to see you come and join us. Come and have a look around Hamilton and share the Hamilton experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry, and thank you, Taifa. It was a pleasure and honor to have you all on the show. Thank you, guests and viewers. This, by far, was one of the most engaging episodes by way of the viewers participating. I think I'm going to have another back to school episode for the next, in fact, every month till January, because clearly we are not done yet. We have so much to ask and get information about. This is wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and have a lovely week and get back to school on time, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.